They called us savages. They called us drunks. We had a reputation of beating women all the time.
I should grab you by the hair and take you to my tent.
No, there are definitely, of course, some people who want to mock us and will continue to do so no matter what we say.
What can two Indians do?
That was TV.
Hollywood and all of these other stereotypes, because I think that's where a lot of the appropriation comes from.
As children, many of us were taught that in 1492,
Columbus sailed the ocean blue. He had 3 ships and left from Spain.
October 12, their dream came true. You never saw a happier crew.
Indians, Indians, Columbus cried. His heart was filled with joy and pride.
History told us that while searching for an alternate route to India, Christopher Columbus discovered the Americas.
What point do you think people who are not Native American could actually take time to appreciate the fact that Native Americans did actually discover this land and not Christopher Columbus?
I mean, our roots are here in this land. We've come up from this land.
Every second Monday of October, the United States recognizes Columbus's reported achievements with the national holiday, Columbus Day. However, many citizens on this day celebrate Indigenous Peoples Day and Native American Day. Multiple states have also replaced the Columbus Day holiday.
I think that it's important that people know that we have all of these treaties, these legal agreements that we sign with the U.S. governments and Canadian governments, and that most of the components of these treaties are being completely ignored.
In 2010, President Barack Hussein Obama said of Native Americans, quote, "Our tribal communities face stark realities, including disproportionately high rates of poverty, unemployment, crime, and disease. These disparities are unacceptable." In that proclamation, he also asked Americans to celebrate the last Friday of November as Native American Heritage Day. The Native American Heritage Day legislation was initially signed into public law by President George W. Bush in October 2008. Despite this, some natives do not agree with being recognized in this manner on the same day as Black Friday. There are those who believe that this so-called biggest shopping day of the year is a display of capitalism, gluttony, and greed. Additionally, some natives feel disrespected that a day meant to honor them comes the day after Thanksgiving, which for many natives is their national day of mourning. As you'll see on this plaque commemorating the day of protest and remembrance, there are natives who opt out of celebrating the arrival of pilgrims and other European settlers, and that Thanksgiving Day is a reminder of the genocide of millions of their people, the theft of their lands, and the relentless assault on their culture. My team of correspondents spoke with several natives about their history, culture, common misconceptions, and more.
Hi, I'm Zoe Kateri.
Hi, my name is Summer Raine.
I'm Robert X. Golphin, and this
is
an RXG exclusive.
You're watching RXG Exclusives.
We must open up our
at the annual Nanticoke Lenni-Lenape powwow here at the Salem County Fairgrounds in Woodstown, New Jersey.
So, what tribe did you say that you were affiliated with?
Tuscarora, Creek, and a little bit of Cherokee.
It's Lumbee tribe out of Lumberton, North Carolina.
I'm a member of the Piscataway Indian Nation.
I am part Nanticoke out of Lenape.
I belong to the Nanticoke tribe. We are located in southern Delaware. Right here, this powwow belongs to our sister tribe, the Nanticoke Lenape. We're all one sort of large extended family.
Given that the powwow is actually dedicated to this tribe, do you have any sort of history maybe about the tribe?
When you call it a tribe, that means one thing. But see, we were a people all this time. when they came in and took our people out to Oklahoma or up to Ontario, we hid in the woods so that we could keep our families together. And there are certain core names, there's about 40 core names that married back and forth to make sure that our people were safe.
You know, traditionally we were from the eastern shore of Maryland. Our tribe was one of the first ones to meet the European explorers when they came here. We met Captain John Smith, if you remember him from the stories of Pocahontas. We had so very early contact and very early conflicts as well with a lot of the newly established colonial governments. And a lot of our community members in the late 1700s would they left. Some went north to stay with the Haudenosaunee. Others went west. But the communities that are here today are the ones who stayed in the homelands, and so those are my direct ancestors.
We're the indigenous tribe to the state of Maryland today, but at one time our people, we inhabited the entire state of Maryland. We extended into Delaware, all through New Jersey, all straight across Pennsylvania, and right on up into the Ohio Valley. And how we as Piscataway people defined what was our nation's homeland, our nation's territory. It was actually defined by how far our language was being spoken. But today we're centrally located in the state of Maryland.
Can you tell me a little bit of history about your tribe?
Well, back in 1958, the KKK came in to our hometown down there in Maxwell, North Carolina, and tried to run all the Native Americans out of town. And the elders and the farmers of the guys got together and ran the KKK out of town. We also had a guy was more or less like Jesse James. He was an outlaw, Henry Berry Lyrie. He was what he did, he would go out and take from the rich and come back and get to our native people that didn't have nothing, you know, like food and stuff. He wouldn't steal jewelry and stuff like that. Mostly food and a hog or something like that, you know, to get back to our Native American people. And they tried to catch him, and they never found him.
So your language is still active today?
Yes, it is. It's an Algonquin dialect. It's a dialect of language that's commonly shared by the native nations that are considered the Eastern Woodland people. For here in the United States, as Native people, we actually represent over 500 different native nations or tribes. We're very diverse from region to region to region, whether it's through our economical systems, tribal governments, lifestyles, and languages.
It's very interesting. Okay, can you teach us a few words?
Well, we're called people of the water. So in our language, we say Siapi. That means water. Water is life. A lot of people, they believe that Native people, all they had was an oral tradition and that it was passed down from generation to generation to generation. Well, that's one of the misinterpretations that's out there about Native people. We had a documented history. We had a documented culture.
Right now we're working on trying to revitalize the language. So I've been actively working with our tribe on that. No one has spoken the Nanticoke language fluently since the mid-1800s, so it's been a long time. But we have some records of the language, and also the sister language, which is Unami and Munsee, which are Lenape dialects, are all very similar. And so, you know, using them and also with the help of a linguist, we're reconstructing the Nanticoke language and teaching it and giving it back to the community.
This is my first experience to being exposed to a Native American culture, or being at a powwow in general. So how many years have you been coming to this powwow?
About 40 years.
This is my first year, actually.
At a powwow in general, or this one?
Powwow in general.
Okay. So what are your first impressions, I guess? Like, what were you thinking it would be like before you came here?
I went to a smaller version of one down in Florida, and I was kind of like, oh, I really hope this is a lot bigger and has a lot more because I've always wanted to get more a headdress or something like that and get a little more into it. So I was hoping that I'd get to see a lot more and see people dressed up in more, and I also wanted to just see I was hoping to get an information of like why they use certain colors, why they hold certain things, and get a little bit more into it.
I thought it would be a little bit louder than this, but once we got to our first ever one, it was wonderful.
This is my second time here at this tribe's powwow, but this is actually one of many powwows that I have been to throughout the country, including my own tribe's Haliwa-Saponi in Hollister, North Carolina. I've always enjoyed attending powwows, experiencing my own culture and heritage, especially because of my grandmother. Ever since she's passed, I've always missed her, and every time I go here, it makes me think of her, and I just keep her spirit with me there. Especially the dancers, when they do the drum beats and they dance to the beat, it's just a very spiritual thing to me. I just love listening to the music and just being there and present with all my people there and going to all the vendors and enjoying the crafts and shopping there. And actually, my favorite part about going to any powwow is the fry bread. You gotta get from fry bread if you're going to a powwow. People say it's kind of like funnel cake, but it does not compare. It is like a thicker dough, and it's just quickly fried, and you pour some delicious powdered sugar on top. Sometimes you put honey on it. Some people put strawberries or whipped cream on it, but I kind of just like it plain with a little bit of powdered sugar, and it's just...
Given that we're here at a powwow and many people here are not Native American, in what way do you think people could be like more respectful rather than being disrespectful unintentionally?
Can I tell you something? Most people who come to a powwow already know to show respect.
I think knowledge is really important, and so I'm really glad that we have so many people that come to these powwows to come and learn about us and our traditions.
You know, Native Americans didn't really have much freedom to kind of express themselves and their spiritual beliefs. So powwows are kind of there to help preserve the culture and all the traditions.
I think a lot of it is just ignorance, because most people don't even learn about Native America. I've talked to people who thought that we were extinct, that, we didn't exist any longer.
Maybe that's how the Indians wanted to be remembered. They wanted to be remembered as people that never existed.
So there's a lot of misinformation floating around, but coming to places like this where there's a lot of teaching going on in addition to all sort of the fun and entertainment, it's a really good place where you can learn.
This is our chance to show you our spirituality without showing you our ceremonies.
When they ask you to stand up, take your hats off, that is an honor, just like people stand up for the American flag. You go to a ball game, you got 80,000 people. When the American flag, the anthem come on, people standing up. We ask you to honor our flags, our warriors and stuff like that, and a lot of people don't know too much about Native American people. They think what they see on TV, that's how we are. With the long hair, the slang talk, howl, and all this stuff. That's TV. That's Hollywood.
This is a chance to show you how we respect one another and how we respect our elders. And as long as we keep that in our hearts, then the people who come here to visit, they automatically see it and they know what their role is. They need to show respect when they come here.
Oh, it's easy. All you have to do is be nice to the people, treat your stuff right, and that's basically all you need. And kindness, that's all.
Every once in a while we have a problem, but we take care of it.
In the Eastern Woodland Algonquin language, the word powwow means gathering of the people. But today, because we represent so many different Native nations, so many different tribes, we're able to come together from all the various Native nations that we represent. And to make sure that this stays alive, we have these celebrations like this here, that our drum is the heartbeat of life. And our elders have always told us, as long as we keep our drum alive, that the beauty of our culture will go on for our children, for their children, and even as far as our next 7 generations yet to be born.
My mom kind of introduced me to it, so that made me want to more get involved with it and understand it a little bit more.
Well, we take our babies out in the circle for their first introduction. So it's from birth. I mean, if somebody has a child just before the powwow, you'll see that person carrying that child around in the circle.
And do you know any sort of history about your tribe in any way?
No, ma'am, I'm not around many of my tribe members. I'm around a lot of Lumbis, though, so nah.
Well, back in the day, our ancestors and the elders, kept it close, like the family stayed together and stuff like that. Now, as I see as the younger generations, say take my kids. My kids are spread it out from Florida all the way to Baltimore, Maryland. And they don't want to get into the culture no more. I had a son that both my sons danced as students coming up. Once they got old enough, they got away from it. They have children. They're not interested in teaching their children about the culture anymore. And so like our young generation of Native American kids, as far as our Lumbee tribal, I can't speak for other tribes, they're not really interested in it. You know, it's all about the games, like the social media, stuff like that. I'm the elder of my family. I'm the oldest of my whole family, so it was laid on me by my father. When I have, like my nephews and stuff, I give them Native American names and stuff like that. And so that's a great honor to be able to do that.
It's nice to be able to carry on his legacy once he passes over and eventually give it to my children once I have mine. So I think it's pretty neat that I can carry on something that's going to last pretty long.
And things that make you kind of proud is just I had a woman down there who was just telling me that her grandson took her wash tub and made it into a drum. And see, that means that what we're doing is correct, because we don't have to teach it anymore. They're looking for it. They're grasping it. They're finding out what ceremonies are really about. Instead of just the thing that we're doing, they find out why.
You are known as the chief. What exactly does that mean?
Well, there's many definitions of being a chief.
The chief to us as Native people would be equivalent, just like the President of the United States.
The chief is somebody who works for the people. If you look at the presidency, they're supposed to be working for us. Well, my job is to take care of all the people that have needs, or to make sure that people go to college that didn't have the opportunity, or if you need food. That's primarily my job. It's nothing glamorous or glory-seeking, but there are glory seekers out here, but that's not a real chief.
I'm not actually like on a reservation or anything, so I don't get to experience how they do it on the reservation.
Whatever sector of the world that we all live in, we all live on this land that we call our Mother Earth collectively together.
But in my normal American world, what I do get is online. I'm a member of a very large Facebook group of Indigenous people from around the world, and I've actually seen the conflict between them, and I don't think it's truly the Native way. And there's a lot of people that say, oh, you don't look Native, or you look white, or you look black, and stuff like that. That's not actually a part of our culture, our heritage. It's not what we are supposed to believe in. That's not what our elders would support.
As human beings, we all have that same heart. So when we understand a drum, we start to understand no matter what ethnic background a person comes from, what religion that individual believes in, what culture they came from, that we're all members of the human race collectively together. We all breathe the same air. We all drink the same water. We all walk on the same land collectively together. If the water becomes contaminated, it will not just affect Native people, but it affects the human race. If the air becomes polluted and contaminated, it will not only affect Native people, but it will affect the human race. So whether we live in whatever sector of the world that we all live in, we all live on this land that we call our Mother Earth collectively together.
The Native way is usually just accepting everyone. Being Native is just being one, with nature, and, believing that everybody is the same. Everyone bleeds the same color. Everyone has the same feelings and desires and needs in life. So that's pretty much what I believe in.
Do you feel that you have had to conceal your Native American heritage in any way in order to advance in life?
I think honestly for my generation, it's becoming easier to, be publicly accepted as a Native person. We're not being targeted in the same direct ways as, previous generations.
When I was younger, yes. When I first come to Maryland, 18-year-old, began to date, I dated white women. Summertime, I'm white. Wintertime, I'm white. Summertime, I'm dark. A lot of the girls' mothers thought I was white till they found out I was Native American. I don't want to date that savage. He's a drunk.
For me, I grew up actually in Cleveland, Ohio, which has a very, I would say, invisible Native population. So I would say that I never, tried to hide my identity, but also maybe I didn't foreground it, especially at school when you're a kid, and you're just trying to fit in with the other kids. Yeah.
But once I got a certain age in my 20s and realized I'm just as good as the next person, I put that behind me, and now I don't look back.
All right, my thanks to Summer and Zoe and to those who gave of their time. A personal note, while I am not Native American, I have many loved ones who are, and from a young age my mother and family would take me to powwows to learn about the culture. And I must say it has always been a rewarding and humbling experience. I hope you learned something new and or had a forgotten piece of knowledge reinforced. Make sure you talk back. Let us know your opinion. Reach out on social media and share this and other episodes with those in your circle. Once again, I'm Robert X. Golphin. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time for another RXG exclusive.
Also, if you are interested in the in Native crafts and Native craftsmanship, buy from a Native artist. Don't go to one of those big stores. I won't name any but those big stores and buy some sort of knockoff variety. Go find a Native artist and buy from them. Support their business.
Every year I have to get a new dream catcher for my car. So I got one this year, and of course it's purple, and it's made of different colored beads. So this will be hanging in my car for the next year until the next year's powwow.
I have some of my jewelry that represents who we are as the indigenous people of the eastern seaboard, and it's called wampum. Wampum comes from the quahog clam, and it was worn for two reasons. One, to attract good and strong and positive energy to us. Water is life. But we also used the shell. We made what was called wampum belts. These belts were made out of shell, and each belt told of a story that was a very significant event that had transpired within a particular Native nation or a particular village.
All my jewelry is handmade beaded. I got 6 different beaders that bead for me. I got a couple out in South Dakota, Mesa, Arizona. I got one in Baltimore, Maryland. I got one lady out in Louisiana. A lot of the ladies out on the reservation is single moms, young girls in their early 20s, late 30s with 5 or 6 children, no husband in the home. So they bead for 8-9 hours and they work 8-9 hours. Plus they're having to take care of the home. I want to know the tribe they're from, so when someone asks me what tribe made this, I'll be able to tell them what size beads and everything like that. And I believe that's what won them over. Because I told them, I said, I want to be able to represent you on the East Coast. Even though you out in Mesa, Arizona or South Dakota, you're still my sister. We blood sisters. I never met you, but we still brothers and sisters. And so now, when we talk to each other, hey, my sister, how you doing? I'm great, my brother. How you doing? It's not easy at all. You got to have good eyes, plenty of patience. If you notice, you can go over my work and look at it and rub your hand across it. You won't feel no wrinkles, none of the beads. Everything is smooth. So the oldest beater I have is 89. The youngest is 22. And they do awesome work. The elders are beginning to lose them because of their eyesight, arthritis in their hands and stuff. And they taught their daughters how to bead. You'd be surprised, some of these ladies is in their early 30s I was telling you about, has got children, 6-7-year-olds learning to bead. So it's a generation thing. Where they keep it going on reservations and stuff, they keep it going because that's how they make their living, their income and stuff like that, where we don't. You know, so by us being on these, because we're truly blessed. I mean, we have hard times in life, but we can overcome it. Been out on the reservation, like Mesa, Arizona, there's no trees out there where they live at. It's an old shack that look like it's 1920s and stuff like that. Yeah. So we're truly blessed.